say it's been an exhausting week in the NBA is an understatement. Whether that was the Nets enabling Kyrie to the point where only the public outrage was the thing that finally pushed them to suspend him, or hiring Ime Udoka as their next head coach when he's currently suspended and under investigation for inappropriate behavior towards a woman in the Celtics organization, the Brooklyn Nets were the main character yet again for very wrong reasons. And if you think that was enough, let's talk about former Spur Josh Primo and an alleged pattern of sexual misconduct against a former consulting psychologist for the Spurs. The common denominator, the one thing that we constantly find the problem to be, is the disrespect towards women in the workplace and no protection for them either. A lot of sports fans use the NBA as an escape from real life, but sports can't always give you the escapism you're looking for, especially if you're a woman. If you're watching this as a fan or a media member, or as someone involved in the sports space in any capacity, I think it's important to talk about it, even though it can be tough or discouraging. If it's bigger than basketball, we need to start acting like it. Now, moving on to some coaching news in the WNBA, just to quickly catch you up on the coaching carousel, Cheryl Reeves signed a 5-year contract extension with the Minnesota Lynx after rumors swirled that she was going to head to the Connecticut Sun. The Indiana Fever hired WNBA assistant coach Christy Sides as their next head coach, as well as the Dallas Wings hired Sparks assistant Latricia Trammell to fill their vacant coaching spot. The most prominent spot left is for the Connecticut Sun, who are looking for a new head coach after Kurt Miller went to LA. Free agency is set to start in the new year, so there are plenty of moves to be made following the coaching carousel. All right, on to some tennis, and I'm joined by my GameStop Bet host, Sara Poraria. It's been way too long.
It's literally been months.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been out of the tennis world, fully dove, oh my God, I can't even speak, dove into soccer, and that's been great, but I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and we have some really fun things to talk about. We'll start with our Canadian, Felix Auger-Aliassime. He currently is in the ATP Paris Masters. It's the last ATP 1000 event of the year. And Felix might be the hottest player in tennis right now. Yeah. He won 3 titles in 3 weeks in Florence, the Swiss indoors event, and the European Open as well. And now he's in the semifinals of the Paris Masters. What have you made about this run to end the year?
I think, okay, when we spoke about Felix throughout Game Set Bet, I always remember one thing I was saying was that he's consistent at getting better. Like, it doesn't matter where he falls in a tournament, he'll come back stronger next time. And I feel like that's what we've seen from him throughout this year. He's just constant. He's growing as a player, and now he has this insane run right now. And it's really great. And I think also another takeaway is, as a Canadian, it's so good to actually see a Canadian tennis player, no shade, that is consistent though. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
a little bit of shade.
All the shade. But like, no, how many years has it been like where we've been watching tennis and it's like, you know, there's a Canadian tennis player, because there are several of them in Canada, but have they stayed at the top level? Never. And so it's so exciting that we're not only seeing this guy who's really good, but he's also Canadian, where it's like, yes, we're doing it. But he is amazing.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things is he's always had a really good, solid game. His big serve is one of his biggest weapons. Just very quick baseline player. He's not afraid to go to the net either. And I think what's been key during this run is that he's been able to really focus on that. Like, his service games are really short. Like, done. Like, 40 love, like, that's it. Like, he's really hard to return against. And I think just figuring out what his like successful skills are and just kind of honing in on that and making them better is what's made him so unplayable right now. And so yeah, I'm so excited that we have a Canadian that I can just be like, yes.
Yeah.
We'll see how he does for the rest of this Paris tournament, but he's also qualified for the ATP finals, which is so exciting. We have a Canadian in the ATP finals, and God knows
he could win.
How long? Yeah. I mean, okay, let's not get too ahead of ourselves because he does have to lose at some point. Yeah. But hopefully the losing will come in 2023, not.
It won't come. It will never come.
But moving on to another fave of yours, specifically, Mr. Carlitos Alcaraz. He's the youngest world #1.
Insane.
Like, that's insane of itself. He did lose to Felix in Switzerland in the semifinals. I do want to mention that because I know one of our coworkers, Mikey Singh, wanted us to talk about how Felix owns Carlitos.
Loves to drag me down, yeah. But who's #1 right now? It is Carlitos Alcaraz. The fact that he got the ATP World #1 at 19 years old and 4 months, I'm just shocked. I get it right now because we are in a bit of a generational shift with these players, but it's so exciting. Like, it is so exciting to see this young talent, and he is a name that is going to stick with us for years.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
He did retire from his match against Holger Rune today, but I think watching him in pairs specifically so far, we'll see what the injury is because it hasn't really been reported on yet, and we'll see if that affects his ATP Finals appearance. But another thing with Carlitos is kind of similar to Felix, where he's figured out what his skills are, he's honed in on them, and he's just a very quick player. Like, it's kind of crazy. I was watching his match against Dimitrov the other day, and Dimitrov was playing excellent. Like, he wasn't playing bad, but he just could not keep up with Carlos.
Well, Tiafoe said actually that he's never seen somebody move on the court like he does. Because he's really so athletic. He's so quick. When they, if they serve to him and, the return is on the other side of the court, he makes that run like it's so easy and just gets there. And you're like, how did he, it's just, I can't even explain it. Like, I'm actually at a loss of words because it's so difficult to see certain, like in tennis, see them really move at such a pace sometimes because they get locked in the positions they're in.
Yeah.
And he is a player that it doesn't matter. Like, he will get to the ball at the end of the day every time.
Yeah, he's quick, he's deliberate, which is very important too, because I feel like a lot of times if players get hesitant in their moves, that's when they're prone to errors. But because the deliberate comes with being quick, it just makes him a very dangerous player to play against. And
that's a really good point.
Yeah, and it's definitely not fun if you're his opponent, but
absolutely
it's fun for us to watch.
I love it. I'm really happy.
Seeing a Rafa successor, I think is pretty nice.
And I also saw that Djokovic said, don't kind of get used to it because now that you're number one, everyone else is going to want to dethrone you. And I'm like, all right, Novak, let him have his moment.
Novak's like, I miss being number one.
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, get out of here. But it's true, like, that people are coming for him. But thinking that he's 19, we'll see him probably be number one just a few more times in his career.
Yeah, he's just a little bit good at what he does.
Slightly.
But yeah, those are two very exciting talents that I did want to talk about because they've both been playing some phenomenal tennis to end off the year. But let's shift gears to the WTA finals because they have started their last event of the year, and Iga Swiatek, Maria Sakkari were the first two to make the semifinals. They won in their groups. They went undefeated, which I think for Iga, I think it was expected because that's all she's done this year is win.
Literally the year of Iga.
Yeah, but for Maria Sakkari, I was a little bit surprised just because she's been a little bit more up and down this year. I wasn't sure what to expect. She barely made it into the WTA finals, like literally by a match she squeaked in to make that top 8, but she's looked really good so far.
She's one of those players where she has great tournaments, kind of like you said, and then tournaments where she's, out in like the first or second round. So you never know what you're going to get with her. But when she's on, she's really good and she plays a great game. So I think that's just what we're seeing right now. She's just in the moment. She's there and she's playing some really good tennis. Now, what's going to happen now? I'm not quite sure, but I do like watching her play, and she is a really fun tennis player, so I'm not mad about it, but I think it is just one of those, she was having a good day, she was having a good week kind of thing. But let's see, because maybe if she can hold on to her consistency, she could be like, challenging these players like Iga, like Simona, to be that number one at one point, but it's just a matter of whether she's going to be able to maintain that consistency.
Yeah, and she definitely has the power. Like, we definitely know her, even though she's tiny, she's a very, very powerful player. You've seen her, you can see her guns in the photo right there.
Insane.
But I think with her, it's just she's got to be making those big shots especially when she has players that move well, like across the court. Like, you've got to be making those big shots. She was making like really impressive down the line backhanders the other day, and I think that was probably one of the biggest keys for her to have gotten this far. It's got to be a good morale booster for her after the years she's had to say, okay, I'm in the semifinals of the WTA finals. Like, I played really well to get here, and so yeah, she should be proud no matter what the takeaway or the outcome will eventually be. But there are a couple of matches on Friday and on Saturday still to come. Some of the more important ones are going to be between Ons Jabeur and Sakkari, because Jabeur does have to win that in order to make it into the semifinals. And the last one is going to be Garcia versus Kasatkina for that semifinal spot. I think I was expecting Garcia to maybe take a set off of Swiatek in their last match. It almost happened. She was up a break in the first set, but then Iga did Iga things. But do you think Garcia has good chances against Kasatkina?
I almost think that she's going to go 2 sets and just win.
Yeah.
I kind of have this feeling, and I don't know why, but playing against Iga is almost like a great warm-up because you are playing the best of the best. Yeah, you lost, but you learned so much from that. And so, I don't know, maybe it's just a feeling, like an inkling I have, but I feel that she has this match in the bag. What do you think?
Yeah, and I think you're right because Kasatkina is coming off of a win against Coco Gauff. But the thing is, Coco Gauff has played some rough tennis in the WTA finals. She lost both of her matches. She wasn't really looking like herself. I think the forehand is still a little bit erratic sometimes, and she wasn't very happy with herself, although she's played some really good tennis this year. So I think even though Kasatkina did beat her, I think she beat a player that wasn't at her top level. So I think once she runs into Garcia over here, I think things will go a little bit easier than it was for facing Iga Swiatek. But yeah, let's talk about Coco for a little bit as kind of our last player because she did have a rough kind of end to the year now, but she was super consistent this year. She didn't win a title, but she made it to the ends of tournaments. She made the French Open final. I think she gained a lot of experience that way. So what are kind of your takeaways for her from this year going into 2023?
Coco is young and she's resilient. I think that's the biggest thing with me. She keeps coming back. And no matter what people say about her, if she has a bad game or a bad tournament, she'll show up at the next one 10 times stronger. So for me, I love it because she is young. She'll be around for a while, but no matter what's thrown at her, she adapts and she learns from it, which is really, like, it's great to watch. And I think also, like, this is just me being maybe a little bit sappy, but I think I really admire her as a person. There's just this, like, strength, there's this flame, like, she's very confident, and I think it makes me appreciate her as an athlete more as well.
And there's almost this like wisdom to her, like when she speaks in press
How
conferences.
old are you?
Yeah, I'm like, she's speaking so articulately. She's like, she knows like, okay, these are the lessons that I have to take from a loss or a win or whatever it is. So she's got a good head on her shoulders, and I think that's very important.
She's smart, so she's like, that adds to her athleticism because she's taking, like, from her losses what she needs to shift, what she needs to get better at. And she's really using that to become a more well-rounded tennis player. Like, she's really strategic.
Yeah, so keep your head up high, Coco, because even though it was, maybe not the result she wanted at the WTA finals, the fact that she made the WTA finals, was very high ranked in singles and in doubles is really, really impressive. So yeah, like all good things are coming for her, and make sure you're tuning into the WTA finals and the ATP Paris Masters because Felix is going to take the whole thing. At least we hope so. But thank you so much for joining me here today. Make sure you guys are checking out Room 442 with Sara. She's the face of soccer. Thanks for tuning into Court Time with me, and we'll see you next Friday.